Washington Democratic Congressman Adam Smith is one of those no votes. Joins me now from Capitol Hill. Adam, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. It has been my experience in talking with you over the years that you're not a real big talking point member of Congress. You sort of lay it on the line in your own way. So in your own way, what does this bill mean net for your constituents in Washington? Is there anything going to get out of it that they're going to find positive? Or is it all, from your vantage point, on the negative side?
Well, I mean, there's a piece of it that's positive, but the biggest negative that we're going to feel, Washington State has been very aggressive about using the Affordable Care Act to provide health care to people. Washington State actually is going to see the biggest drop in the number of insured in our state, of any state in the union, because we have gotten the uninsured rate down to 4.3%. These cuts to Medicaid are going to drive, I don't know what the numbers are in Washington State, hundreds of thousands of people off of health care. Obviously, the same thing is going to happen nationwide. We also have a lot of people dependent upon the SNAP and the food assistance programs. Those programs will be cut severely. So you will see, poor and working class people denied health care and access to food, as well as a number of other programs in the areas of education. Certainly, we are focused also on clean energy in the Pacific Northwest. We're seeing dramatic cuts to that will undermine solar, wind economy. So very negative in that regard. But look, I mean, there are people in Washington State who make a fair amount of money, and so the tax cuts will put more money in their pocket. That is true, but it comes at an enormous cost. And I'll also point out that prior to the Trump tax cuts in 2017, we had an incredibly strong economy. So, I mean, if you cut taxes and put money in people's pockets, that's a positive to some extent. But the expense of driving people off of health care, denying people access to food, and sending the debt up another $3.5 trillion. I mean, I was listening a little bit to the previous guest you had, the Republican member of Congress, talking about how important the debt is. How can you vote for this bill if you think the debt is a problem? This adds $3.5 trillion to the debt.
Adam, you mentioned a moment ago how Washington expanded under Obamacare. And when Republicans say, we're just trying to get Medicaid back to 2019, people might say, well, that doesn't sound so bad. Things weren't all that different in 2019. But in your state and many others, it was different in 2019. Walk my audience through the differences and why this matters from your perspective.
Well, again, a couple of big ones. We're talking about millions of people who are able to access health insurance because of Medicaid. And we expanded Medicaid as part of the ACA. They severely restrict that. They also make other restrictions to Obamacare to make it more difficult for people to access that care. So right off the bat, you're going to have, it's estimated across the U.S., somewhere between 10 and 17 million people who no longer have health insurance. So that's bad. But then those people are going to seek out health care, and they're probably going to go to the emergency room, number one, which is going to drive up the cost of their health care. But number two, the health care providers are going to try to offset those losses. They are going to provide some care to people. They're going to see massive increases in what they call their uncompensated care. People they treat and they don't get paid, they're going to try to make that up somewhere. And they're going to make that up on the people who are insured. So even if you're not in this Medicaid group, your health care costs are going to go up. And again, this is all to fund a wide array of tax cuts, not just the 2017 tax cuts from Trump, but the whole TIPS thing and the overtime thing and on and on. We are a nation already spending more money than we're taking in, and now we're cutting the amount of revenue we're going to take in. It digs our hole deeper for the future, and that impacts every American.
Adam, you're also the ranking Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, which means you pay very close attention to the Pentagon budget. My memory serves, there's about $150 billion more for the Defense Department in this legislation. Where should that be spent? And do you have any concerns about how Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth or the president will allocate it?
I do. I mean, it's a lot of money up front early without a strategy. The president has talked about Golden Dome, no specifics around that. So if they get all this money, are they going to spend it efficiently and effectively? A lot of it is going towards shipbuilding. We have a major shipbuilding problem in this country, in part because we don't have enough workers. Where's that money going to go if you don't have enough workers to build the ships? So I'm not sure a massive infusion in the first year would be $113 billion, that the Pentagon is ready to spend that money efficiently and effectively. But look, the Pentagon gets an additional $150 billion. That's going to help them. But again, at what cost? The things that are being cut, I think, are more vital to the strength of the United States of America than throwing another $150 billion at the Pentagon that already has a near $1 trillion budget. So, yeah, there'll be a lot more money for defense, but it comes at an enormous cost to the debt and the deficit and to programs that are vital to Americans.
Congressman Adam Smith, Democrat from Washington, ranking Democrat on the Armed Services Committee, coming to us from Capitol Hill. Thanks so much.